This is The Therapist's Couch with Virginia Corbett, licensed counselor, where professional insight supports personal growth. Join us for authentic conversations that inspire growth, healing, and hope. Welcome to The Therapist's Couch. In this episode, we explore emotional blueprints, those invisible family patterns that shape who we are. We'll talk about how to recognize those blueprints and when they become toxic, how to rewrite them, and how to rebuild the emotional house you've lived in your whole life. Let's begin.
Hello, Kiarra.
Hi, Jenny.
How are you?
I'm pretty good.
Hanging in there.
Yeah. Busy day. Today has been crazy busy for me.
Yeah.
You know, I had full nail polish before I went to martial arts and tore my nail polish up. So now, you know,
there you go.
just having that kind of day.
Well, you know, I think that goes a lot with what we're going to talk about today.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what are we talking about today?
Well, today we're going to be talking about how to repair the old house. And maybe, you know, the balanced house.
Yeah, that
family.
we've been talking about, yeah.
Yeah. We're going to talk about repair work.
So how do I fix all my toenail polish that's not cute anymore?
Or maybe you choose not to.
Yeah, maybe
you
take
like
it all off.
Yeah. Or just,
all right with
maybe you like it kind of smeared.
I like that.
Because it shows up that martial arts work.
Yeah, I'm martial arts. That's why I have smeared toenail.
There you go.
You know what?
Yeah.
Maybe on
A little empowerment in that smear.
So strong.
Good. But we're going to talk today about emotional blueprints and toxic patterns and kind of how you work on that and how you repair that.
So when you're thinking, when you say toxic blueprints, emotional what do you mean? If I've never done therapy before, what would you say you're talking about?
You know, let's go back to emotional blueprints.
Okay.
Start with that. Emotional blueprints are the things in our family, the patterns in our family, the roles we have, the functions we have. The emotional blueprints are those blueprints that our family gives us at birth. And some of them are good, and some of them, are good for a time. They work for us when we're kids. And then at some point, they don't work anymore.
Yeah.
They work against us.
And some of them always sucked, and I don't think we noticed until later on. We're like, no, this was actually never good. Like this is never.
You know, it is kind of interesting as you go through life and you get to be a certain age, and then kind of think about, you know, what your parents were doing at that age or what you did. Yeah, I'm like, what were they thinking? You know, and there's a little bit of a adjustment, and you know, sometimes there's a little bit of judgment there.
Yeah.
You know, but I think that's the emotional blueprint is how were we told to be? What was okay? Was it okay to be emotional? Was it okay to cry? Was, you know, like, what kind of emotional blueprint did we have? And what works for us and what doesn't work for us anymore?
Yeah, who do we want to be now versus who we felt like we had to be when the blueprint was originally given to us?
Yeah. What are some of the emotional blueprints that, you know, as you work with clients or even in your own life that you've seen, that you've really held on to or really wanted to change?
When I'm working with some of my clients, one that I see very often for my moms, and it's really my like can get a million things done moms, the ones who are like super capable and you are like, I don't know how they did all of that. It is so challenging when I say, hey, you feel exhausted, you feel alone, you feel unsupported, probably by your spouse or by your family. And part of it is because you have 90% of the responsibility and everyone else has 10% of the responsibility. And we need to decide if you want to keep that. And if you don't, we need to balance that some more. When we first start having that conversation, it is so challenging for my women to agree with that and go along with it because they say, if I stop doing this,
who's going to do it?
Who's going to do it?
Who's going to do it?
If I'm not looking at the calendar, if I'm not reminding everybody to put their shoes on before you run outside in the street, if I'm not doing it, who's going to do it? And I hear that all the time when we talk about any family roles. Often people feel like, if I'm not doing this, who's going to do it?
And what do you tell them?
Yeah. First I say it's a good question because at this point, if they stop doing it, it's going to be a hole. Yeah. And they're going to fill that hole and like feel F-E-E-L. 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 I'm a Southern. They're going to fill that hole in their soul, and it's going to be like, I got to get back in that spot.
Yeah.
But your family's actually capable.
Yeah.
Your family knows how to put on shoes, and if not, they know how to run outside and feel how hard the concrete is, and then come back in and put on shoes.
Yeah.
No, we're not doing super things. We're
Yeah.
really doing normal things that we've taken on, and we've begun to feel like we're the only people who can do this, and we're not. And so the family will do it.
Well, and another part of that emotional blueprint is sometimes, when you're going back, when you're an adult and you're going back into your childhood home or being with your family of origin, sometimes what happens is you flip back to when you were 14. Like you find yourself fighting with your sibling just like you did in middle school.
Yeah.
Sometimes you get put back into that. It's like a time warp. And, an emotional blueprint will take you back. And you're like, wait a minute, what am I doing?
Yeah, I'm an adult.
Yeah.
I also have a mortgage. Why am I going to my room?
Yeah,
You know?
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, why am I poking my sister with a fork? Yeah.
You were 47. Don't poke your sister with a fork,
Yeah.
That's a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's how deep emotional blueprints are. That's how deep those roles are. And I think one of the things that we're trying to do today is we're like, what happens when they become toxic?
Yeah.
What happens when they're stunting our growth? What happens when they're not allowing us to be ourselves with our family?
Yeah, we don't want them anymore.
Yeah.
We feel stuck in them.
Yeah.
Okay, tell me about a time when you have counseled or worked with somebody or your own through their emotional blueprints. Like give another example of emotional blueprints.
Wow. Well,
I picked a really good one, so I might have
Yeah,
stolen
you
yours.
did.
I know. It's not really common. It happens so often.
well, I feel like one of the things that I've worked a lot, and again, you're right. There's a lot of like mothers who assume the role. But one of the things that I've worked a lot is kind of going back into the home and like letting each other grow up, letting each other be different, and that's where our reintroduction, like in our book, we have that. It's called the reintroduction, to reintroduce yourself now, but letting yourself, instead of going home and being that person you were, starting to admit who you are now, even to yourself. Things change. And it's okay to change.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So are you saying that some of the people that you see, they go back into their home spaces and they notice themselves becoming an earlier version of themselves, and it's hard for them to engage that kind of change?
Very much. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And in my own life, going home, I had a mother who was pretty emotionally immature. She was both. She could be very emotionally immature and she could be very emotionally, she was like Yoda, or she was like very emotionally mature. She would, be one or the other. And I know a lot of times when I would go home, I would fall into a very, a very young, very primal, and sometimes, we've talked about like, I was a parentified child. Sometimes I'd fall into the parenting role to my mother, which, that's not healthy.
No.
Eventually you
wanna
can
be able
quit
to be
parenting your parents.
Yeah, I feel like that's something that we probably end up talking to people about often, is some of the ways they still feel responsible for their parents. But the responsibility is more in their mind and not in practice. Sometimes it is in practice, but I'm not talking about when your parents are older and you are their physical power of attorney. You are literally making decisions for them. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about that parentifiedness, when you feel this oldest child responsibility to step in, or only child responsibility, or whatever role you've played, that feeling that you have that you owe this to your family.
Yeah. And that is when the blueprints become toxic. So let's talk about when the blueprints become toxic. What happens in our lives that our family patterns become toxic in our own lives.
Yeah, and how we can recognize when it's time.
Yeah. Well, and honestly, as a therapist, that's a lot of our job. A lot of our job, especially as family therapists, is helping people see like, hey, you know what? this thing that you've been doing that worked great when you were 12 or maybe even 20, it doesn't work anymore.
Yeah.
It's stopping you from, well, and again, going back to your example of the young woman, that maybe not even that young, but a woman who is overcompensating, maybe she did that as a child, and now she's exhausting herself.
Yeah, she was an oldest daughter, or she was the responsible one, or whatever label she's had in her family. She's learned this ability. And the hard part is, like, some of those skills probably have served her in her life.
Yeah.
Like, other people in your circle see the skills you have and invite you to give those. Come organize the band booster. Come make stuff for the soccer team. Come, they plan for you to use that role over and over and over again. And then you find yourself completely burnt out because in all of your significant relationships, you keep playing this one role.
Yeah.
And you're so tired.
Yeah. Why can't I have the fun role?
Yes.
Why can't I have the fun role?
I hear so many times people in my office say, I would kill to be him. And women have said that. I would kill to be him, to get to come home and sit on the couch. I would kill to be him. And this is not all men or all women, but I have heard that so many times in my office. And they don't realize that they could.
Yeah.
That it's open. It's available to them.
Yeah. At least in a way that maybe is more healthy as far as their own self-care. You know,
could take a break.
Yeah, it's okay to take a break. So let's talk about some of those roles in families. And this isn't the role, it's the function of the role. What are some of the functions, some of these toxic, these roles that the family functions that become toxic? I'm thinking like the emotional sponge.
Oh, okay. Say more about that. That sounds...
Well, you know, sometimes there's, especially when there's abuse in a family, there will sometimes be, you know, as a child, maybe they take on the emotions and they feel it, or sometimes they kind of take it away. They're a clown, or they do something to distract from the, you know, from the abuse. And then there used to be, they pick up everyone's emotions. And, you know, I've seen a lot of men who are emotional sponges.
Me too.
And that is a very interesting phenomenon. Like,
you would not think, but you're so right.
Yeah. Well, you know, a lot of men are very emotionally intelligent and they really haven't explored that part of themselves. And that's why I think it's great for men to get into therapy.
Yeah.
Because they're very emotionally intelligent and they don't really know what to do with it.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. I have an Army vet that I've gotten to work with, and he went to therapy. I see him for couples work, but he's done individual work. And he said, you know, my individual therapist just opened up some of my understanding of my own emotional intelligence. And it led me to be able to ask questions where I would have normally stayed silent, or I would have come in with a hard opinion about something. And as he's been asking questions to people around him, everything has changed. Like, where his kids would usually challenge him, he'll ask them a question about why they did that, and they'll be totally stumped. They'll be totally stumped
Because he's used to take on emotions and being quiet.
Yeah. And
you know,
and
I feel like there's, you know, I'll see men that are, you know, 30s, 40s, 50s.
Yeah.
And they have no idea they're emotionally intelligent.
Yeah.
Really, really emotionally. And they're picking up on stuff. And instead of like understanding what to do with it and using it as the gift that it can be, they just bury it.
Yeah.
They hold on to it. And they're just an emotional sponge. And it's really like, it's wonderful to, you know, and of course, you know, I don't want to be sexist. It can be for women too. But, but you know, the very, very many men who are emotionally intelligent end up just absorbing and absorbing and absorbing, and they don't know what to do with it. And I think that's a lot of times why they explode. While they get angry and explode is because they don't know how to process the emotions, and they've got amazing gifts. And you're like, you're really emotionally intelligent. And they're like, I am. Like, they have no idea. You know, it's really fun to see them come to life.
Yeah, when you can kind of call it out of them and they can start to see themselves like that. It's a beautiful, beautiful moment.
It is a beautiful moment.
Yeah.
But that's one of the, you know, the toxic emotional, the toxic roles as an emotional sponge. Yeah. And again, you can fix that. You can tweak that. You know, another one, you know, some of them are good, but then they end up being bad for, like, peacemaker.
Yeah.
You know, being the peacemaker, always having to be, you know, like, you don't get an opinion. You've got to calm everyone else down. That's
You're the
another
infinite
one.
moderator.
Yeah.
Always here, listening,
Yes.
adjudicating, whatever you need to do
Yeah.
to make peace.
Yeah. And that is also, a lot of these things, it's a beautiful thing for the function that it is, but it's very hard on the person.
Yeah, long term.
Yeah.
We're not one-dimensional people, but sometimes in families, we end up playing the same role over and over and over again, even if we wanted to be somebody different. Sometimes there's conflict because there needs to be conflict.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
And being, so then if you're a peacemaker, you have to wrestle with, do I come in and make peace where conflict would actually lead to health and growth for this person or for our whole family? But it's so uncomfortable and it's challenging that role that I felt like I've had all this time.
We don't want to tell that to the peacemakers, though.
Why?
Well, I mean, like, they would be very surprised if they realized their peacemaking is actually keeping the family in a stuck place. Like, sometimes it's okay for things to blow up a little. I'm not talking about physical danger.
Yep.
But within a certain parameter, it's okay to have things get a little heated and have some opinions expressed and have people feel empowered.
Because some of the conflict probably is related to a cycle or a pattern that the family would rather have be different. We'd rather it change, but it's so hard and so uncomfortable to have that change.
So instead, we don't rock the boat.
We don't want to cause a problem. I'd rather just agree. I'd rather not start a fight. I just want to go to sleep. And you can, and you wake up with the same conflict.
So when you're considering remodeling your family,
I like this term.
When you're considering remodeling the balanced house and balancing it in a different way, it's okay to consider, like, what am I really not happy with?
Yeah.
What are some of the patterns? What is my role? What bothers me? There's probably a reason it bothers you.
Yeah, you're allowed to be bothered.
You're allowed to be bothered. You're allowed to be bothered. And frankly, you're allowed to say that you're bothered. And again, that's a lot of what we do in family therapy. I had a supervisor once in family therapy that said, what we do? We take a flashlight and we just shine it on the dark places. We just call out what we see.
Yeah. And I love that. I love that in the way that therapy approaches it, because there's a difference between a flashlight and a searchlight or a spotlight. A spotlight is like, look at this, you're on a stage, perform, pay attention, and the audience is sitting there and the audience is ready to judge you and clap or boo or throw tomatoes. That's what a spotlight does. And a searchlight is there to help catch criminals, you police, open up, But a flashlight is usually held by a friend or you, and we're in here trying to find something together.
Trying to find it.
Nobody is here trying to attack you with the searchlight. We're all trying to figure out what's in this room together and maybe get rid of what we don't like, change what we do, and love the things that we already have that we appreciate.
Yeah. So let's talk about our remodeling tools.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
Our first remodeling tool is to write it and rewrite it. Name it. What is it? What is it that we're not happy about?
Yeah.
What do we want to change?
When I think about how people could start to write that, I think if you think about all of your friendships, all of your relationships, friendships, romantic relationships, parental relationships, both the ones that maybe you have with your parents and the ones you might have with your kids, what are some common denominators in all of those relationships?
Yeah.
And do you like them?
Yeah. Well, and that's name what it is, what's bothering you.
Yeah.
Name what your role is in it, and decide if you want to make a change, and if you do, make tiny changes. And those are your 3 things. So what's bothering you? Do you want to change it? And what's your role in it? So that's the tiny changes are like setting boundaries, saying something where you maybe shouldn't have said, well, I shouldn't say shouldn't have, but you wouldn't have said something previously.
Yeah.
So you're actually going to speak up.
I tell so many of my clients, noticing what is happening is a huge chunk of changing it. Even when I have people who've played a role for so long and the fear of getting out of this role feels crippling to them. It feels like they will not survive if they change. If I like peace and I start making waves, I feel like I'm going to lose all my friends. I'm going to lose all my family. There's just genuine fear here. I tell them, even if you only acknowledge it to yourself, and you don't do anything different at first, that is enough to start you on a path towards like healing, wholeness, difference in your life. I'll have them say, when they're in conversations and somebody makes a joke that actually makes them uncomfortable, and you can tell those things when they happen. And ooh, I actually didn't like that. Even if they don't challenge the person, I want them to say inside, I actually didn't like that. That wasn't my favorite.
Well, and it's important to know the people who have known you the longest may not know who you've become. You know, they may not know you now. You know, the people who knew your past self may not know your present self. And it's kind of fun to reintroduce yourself. Have the faith that the people who know you and love you will accept you as you are now. You know, and allow you the grace to grow.
Yeah, while you're making these changes. And we're not advocating for cutoff culture. This doesn't mean cut off everybody in your life as you make all of these changes, because loneliness is also a thing. You don't want to have nobody. Nobody wants to be an island. But the people who love you as you make these changes will make room for you. And if they can't, that's something that you should evaluate and consider, what do I want to do with that?
In all honesty, it's a two-way street. Sometimes when we're busy growing and we're changing, we don't realize they've changed too. You know, and that's one thing, especially when we're talking about the adult offspring and the parent relationship. Sometimes we know them as parents and we don't know them as people. And give them the grace and the space to know them like, hey, you know, and that's that. The reintroduction is so good. It's so good.
It is.
Reintroducing ourselves as we are today to the people we love and knew us yesterday. And so we can start again, because we don't want to spend the rest of our life unknown. You know, who wants to be unknown to the people they love? Maybe the people they love the most.
It's the worst when you're the person that knows everyone and no one knows you.
Yeah.
I've seen that happen a lot to people.
Well, it's a small little thing. They say that, you know, turning the Titanic around. Well, I guess it didn't turn the Titanic around. Let's not use that. Let's not use the Titanic. This is not that. But
maybe another ship that actually turned. Yes.
But when they turn an ocean liner around, it's just small little course changes. And we don't have to deconstruct the whole house.
And you shouldn't. I would caution you against changing everything all at once. That kind of turn, when my mom was teaching me how to drive, she was like, listen, if you get in a scary situation, do not overcorrect, but make sure you do correct. And I was like, well, what does that mean I do? I don't have to have this car. But then eventually I understood what she meant, especially when I moved up here to where we have snow and ice. If I'm driving and I'm turning and I start to slide and I'm probably gonna not be okay.
You know, I grew up in Wyoming, or I learned to drive when we lived in Wyoming. And one of the things my dad taught me how to drive, and he's like, hit the deer, don't swerve.
Wow.
Because if you swerve, you're going to roll the car. You know, so it's like when the deer runs out in front of you, you know, put on your brakes, but hit the deer, you know, keep on course. You know, and by the same token, when you're trying to rebuild a relationship, stay on course. Let people change your boundaries a little bit. Just maybe say some things you haven't said. And take time to give people the grace and space to know them now.
You have as long as you are alive to work through this whole thing. If you start making changes today and you make little changes until you are not here anymore, you're probably going to be a better person on your last day. Hopefully. You didn't make terrible choices all the time. You might be all right.
There you go.
Thank you for joining us on The Therapist's Couch, presented by the Sozo Wellness Institute. We hope today's conversation offered you insight, inspiration, and a sense of connection on your journey toward authentic living. If you found value in this episode, please consider subscribing, leaving a review, or sharing it with someone who might benefit. To continue the conversation and access additional services, follow us on Instagram or TikTok at the.therapists.couch or visit our website at sozowellnessinstitute.com. Until next time, please be well.